Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, federal investigators are at the site of an explosion in DeWitt County.
A Victoria suspect bonded out of the DeWitt County Jail.
And a popular dog food sold in Texas is recalled.
Well, let's hope that your air conditioner is in tip-top shape because we're going to be needing it for quite some time. A little haze and a little cloud cover, but it's still into the 90s all the way through the weekend. We'll have all your forecast information coming up after this.
And it's been a decade since the Victoria East Titans have made it this far in the postseason, and hear from their star catcher coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia. OSHA investigators are at the site of a plant explosion in West Hoff from last Friday. An employee at that plant, 41-year-old Larry Hendricks of Beeville, was killed in the explosion. The explosion happened at the saltwater disposal plant. The explosion resulted in a fire. Authorities are still investigating the cause of the explosion, and an autopsy has been ordered. A 23-year-old Victoria suspect bonded out of the Victoria County Jail Tuesday. Trent Hoffpower was arrested this morning by Victoria Police. He faces 2 charges of human smuggling from Kenny County. He was in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of a $50,000 bond.
A Victoria woman facing charges in Jackson County bonded out of the DeWitt County Jail. 19-year-old Briley Almanzar faces a charge of engaging in organized criminal activity from Jackson County. Almanzar faces charges in DeWitt County that include tampering with physical evidence and unauthorized use of a vehicle. She was in the DeWitt County Jail in lieu of $125,000 bond. Hallettsville police arrested a suspect last Friday. Fernando Valdez is charged with assault of a family member, impeding breath or circulation. He is in the Lawaka County Jail in lieu of $100,000 bond. A 46-year-old suspect was arrested by Wharton Police Monday. Joe Henderson of El Campo faces 3 charges of assault with a deadly weapon. He is in the Wharton County Jail in lieu of $45,000 bond. There are still hundreds of thousands of people in Harris County without power. This comes 5 days after severe thunderstorms rolled through Houston.
As of 5 o'clock this afternoon, over 116,000 customers were still in the dark. The area's power utility, CenterPoint, says it has more than 7,000 workers working overtime trying to restore power. This as the temperatures are climbing to the 90s. At least 8 people were killed in last Thursday's severe thunderstorms. And with that, let's toss it over to the weather wall with Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. We are climbing into those 90s, and I can feel that heat.
Oh, we are all going to be feeling the heat as we get through this week. In fact, this is a long holiday weekend for some. It's Memorial Day, and it looks like it's going to be even warmer than today. A couple thunderstorms way out in northern Mexico and a couple near in Dallas, and that's about it. And you know, you mentioned that activity in Houston. That was last weekend. Tonight, pretty much the same situations happening in Iowa, where they're getting pummeled by the large hail and tornadoes. So we'll have more on that coming up a little bit later on. Back to you.
The Texas Republican Old Guard is mobilizing to protect House Speaker Dave Phelan from the far right. The Texas Tribune reports Phelan's primary emerged as a last stand for the Republican Party's business-minded establishment. They are facing a GOP insurgency primarily motivated by social and cultural issues. Phelan is in a runoff next Tuesday for his House seat in Beaumont. He takes on GOP activist David Covey. So here is your viewer poll question this evening. The question is, does political mudsliding encourage you to get out and vote? Yes or no? Are you indifferent? According to our results, it looks like 7% stand at indifferent, 83% takes the lead with no, and 10% voted yes. Thank you for voting. We want to hear your opinion. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 10.
Early voting continues through Friday. Early voting in Victoria is at the Dr. Patty Dodson Public Health Center, 2805 North Lavero, Classroom A. Early voting hours are tonight through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Over 1,400 Victoria County voters cast their ballots on the first day of early voting Monday. A small plane carrying 4 people crashed into a backyard in Houston on Friday, and all 4 people on board walked away. Officials responded to a report of a small engine aircraft crash less than 10 miles from Hobby Airport. The FAA said the plane, a twin-engine Cessna 421, registered in Mexico, was headed to San Antonio. Aerial images showed the plane in a neighbor's backyard with a smashed wing which had torn through a fence. The National Transportation Safety Board will oversee the investigation.
Pedigree is recalling hundreds of bags of dog food across 4 states, including right here in Texas. The brand's parent company, Mars Pet Care, issued the voluntary recall because loose metal pieces may be in the bags. The impacted products include the 44-pound bags of Pedigree Adult Complete Nutrition, grilled steak, and vegetable flavor dry dog food. The bags were sold at Walmart across Texas. Mars Pet Care says customers should throw out the food immediately and contact them for a refund.
Monday morning, hundreds of students at a Dallas area school said goodbye.
Yeah, it was a gathering to say farewell to their favorite custodian.
Not many school custodians retire like this. But then again, Mr. Doug wasn't just any custodian. Today, the Heritage Elementary School kids of all ages held signs and chanted his name to say thank you for the way he always cheered them on too.
He always puts on a smile for everyone, and he's always giving high fives and hugs to everyone.
Mr. Doug was known for his signature high fives and hugs to children as they came to school each morning. And he has a special talent for making every student feel important.
I just try and, build them up. And that's where it should be.
He says it comes natural to him.
Kids has always been a part of my life. It's love. That's what we're missing in this world now. And I'm just trying to give it back.
Mr. Doug has been with the school for 5 years and plans to spend his next chapter back home in Kansas. With tears in his eyes, he gave out his final hugs.
I was really sad. I went home one day and I started crying because he's been there for all 4 years that I've come to the school.
It is very hard to find someone like him. I think, we're going to have to work really hard to find the next person who can be half as good as he does and love kids and love the staff as much as he does.
As Mr. Doug steps into retirement, the halls may be quieter. Students may forget the details of the day, but say they'll never forget how he made them feel.
That is sweet.
That is the cutest thing.
Hey, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on
YouTube. You already know.
There you go. Keep at it, folks. Thank you for that, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6. The granddaughter of Elvis Presley is suing to stop the foreclosure of Graceland.
Also had storms bring heavy winds, hail, and fire threats to parts of Iowa.
Hi, I'm Detective Kelly Gibbs with the Victoria Police Department. Victoria Crime Stoppers is seeking information about a wanted person. Felix Rivera is wanted for bond forfeiture on original charges of manufactured delivery of a controlled substance and tampering with evidence. Rivera is 30 years old, 5'6", 160 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He has tattoos on his face, chest, stomach, back, and both arms. If you have any information about Felix Rivera, please call Victoria Crime Stoppers at 361-572-4200. You can also submit a tip by using the P3 Tip app on your Android or Apple device, or by visiting our website at www.crimestoppersvictoria.com. All tips are anonymous, and if you give information that leads to an arrest or charges being filed, you could earn a cash reward. With Victoria Crime Stoppers, I'm Detective Kelly Gibbs.
Retail sales are feeling the pinch of years of elevated inflation and consumers changing their spending priorities.
Some stores are looking for summer sales to heat up, and retail watchers say some areas could see more discounts than others.
Ahead of the Memorial Day weekend, dubbed the unofficial start to summer, Target says it is slashing prices on more than 5,000 items to try to draw back consumers weary of inflation. Target joins retailers like IKEA, H&M, and Aldi, which have also slashed prices recently, hoping lower prices spur more spending, both in store and online.
Cost of childcare is up. Cost of food is up. For many people, the cost of rent is up. Just overall cost of living that's causing consumers to be a little bit more cost conscious.
The early summer months can give retailers clues about what two key seasons, back to school and the holidays, might look like to close out the year. The first months of 2024 have given some retailers some jitters, with spending slowing down. Retail sales stalled in April, unchanged from March, according to the Commerce Department, and April spending missed the 0.4% increase economists projected, according to FactSet. In the same month 1 year ago, retail sales surged by 3%. For Memorial Day weekend, Nick Wolney, managing editor at CNET, says consumers can expect deals in a wide range of areas.
It is very much a broad shopping holiday. You're going to see deals across a variety of different categories: appliances, electronics, and even mattresses as well. So it's a good time to pay attention to what's on sale this weekend.
Wolney says it's also a time when retailers clean out last year's electronic stock, like TVs and laptops, ahead of back to college and back to school. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Don't be cruel. Elvis Presley's estate is fighting what it says is a fraudulent scheme to auction off Graceland to the highest bidder. An auction had been scheduled for this Thursday, but court documents show a Memphis judge blocked it after Presley's granddaughter, Riley Keough, sought a temporary restraining order and filed a lawsuit. A public notice for a foreclosure sale of the estate in Memphis said the trust that controls the Graceland Museum owes $3.8 million after failing to repay a 2018 loan. In Oklahoma, residents got quite the scare when they had to leave their homes in the middle of a tornado warning Sunday night.
These last-minute evacuation orders came after lightning sparked a fire at an apartment complex there.
A boom, followed by panic at a local apartment complex.
We saw the black smoke. You could see the smoke all the way from Lake Clover. I said, that's by our house.
Lydia Lucas says when she saw the smoke, she rushed home, but was met with fire crews flooding the streets and Sky 5 up above.
They said even in their helicopter, they could feel the heat.
This tank battery was up in flames just feet from her apartment.
There was fire everywhere. At one point, you couldn't even see the Bethany water tower.
Lucas says security went door to door telling residents to evacuate. And as people ran out,
we could lose everything. Everybody could lose everything. It's not just me, it's the whole community here that could have lost everything.
Even her 9-year-old daughter knew she had to put on a brave face.
I was pretty scared. I really wanted to protect my family from this, so I started not letting my guard down, being brave like my mama told me, so I could protect my family.
Yet the nightmare didn't end there.
We were told to evacuate. The sirens were going off. We had nowhere to go.
Moments later, residents were stuck outside in a tornado warning.
There was people lined up over here by the middle school, lined up against the fence, crying, kids crying. It was horrible. And I wasn't just worried about me. I just kept telling my mom, I was like, all these kids. She said, I wish I had a house big enough to take all these families in.
Fire crews put the fire out and residents were allowed to return home that night, and luckily no injuries were reported.
Storms that hit much of Nebraska with torrential rain, high winds, and large hail spun tornadoes Tuesday that took down several 250-foot wind turbines in Iowa. 3 wind turbines were toppled by an apparent tornado in southwest Iowa. At least one was in flames with black smoke coming from the structure. Social media showed extensive damage in Greenfield, a town 55 miles southwest of Des Moines. The severe storms were expected to hit Minnesota, Illinois, and parts of Missouri later Tuesday.
Well, you can kind of see how all the storminess that was down in our area in Texas on last week, Houston, it's moving north. In fact, tonight, Iowa is really taking the brunt of much of that activity. We'll be talking about that in just a few minutes. For us, 88 degrees right about now. It feels like 100, and it felt like 100 this afternoon, but the temperature was in the air was only 93. Of course, that's close to our record of 97, and we're going to be hovering in the mid-90s for the foreseeable future. And that's all the way into the weekend. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a moment. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, it's feeling like summertime. You know, officially, or they say, Memorial Day is the beginning of officially summer. And boy, have we arrived on time with the schedule, with the temperatures. Well, for us, another sunny, warm day with a lot of haze in the sky, a little humidity, and so it wasn't exactly clear and blue out there. Late this afternoon, a couple of storms out in northern Mexico. Not going to be a factor for us, and some stuff rolling around the Dallas area. But as I mentioned a moment ago, or actually yesterday, the subtropical high, which is this thing right here, is moving up. And it's going to be parking itself over Texas, and that's when everything basically goes around it. In other words, this pressure is so strong here that it's not going to allow much of anything to pop. So all the stormy weather is now on the periphery of it, and exactly where it's happening right now is in portions of Iowa. Now here's Dallas. Of course, nothing for our area, a couple of showers there, but nothing severe. Severe stuff is rolling through Iowa tonight. They've had already 15 tornadoes on the ground that they have reported. Waterloo right about there. Des Moines, Iowa is getting pounded by the heavy storms. And this is similar to what happened to Houston, that there's a concentration of storms all in a very small area. This is in Des Moines just a couple of hours ago. You can see the intensity of those thunderstorms and the winds. You know, no longer do we get garden variety showers anymore. We get these absolute downpours because there's so much heat in the atmosphere to rise all that moisture up, and then it falls back down to earth, and it sometimes hurts your head. Looking at tomorrow, 91 for us, will be 88 in Houston. Of course, with the humidity, it feels a whole lot worse, and heart goes out to all those folks, 100,000 people that still don't have electricity in the Houston area. Out west of us, looking at 98 in San Antonio. Of course, much hotter and much drier out to the west, as temperatures are now really approaching the summer levels. Now, for us, we're doing okay, but we need to be considering what's going on here down south of us. This is, of course, the Corpus Christi area. They're already under a heat advisory for tomorrow. So being so close to that, what does that mean? Well, it means you got to get the fluids. You don't want to overdo it out there in the middle of the afternoon sun. It means you got to get, shade when you can, and wear a hat to protect yourself. If you're still working outdoors, you got to consider this, because we're getting into that time of the year where we're going to be droning on about that stuff quite some time. This is tomorrow, and while there were some little showers in Dallas, now they're talking about possibility of enhanced thunderstorms. Now, for us, we're way far south. We're going to get a strong sea breeze blowing. Of course, it's going to be windy, and the wind helps. Otherwise, it would be brutal out there. But our chances for any stormy weather are pretty slim. This time, the winds are not pushing them in our direction. And here's what we expect in the northern areas. Right about there, there's Dallas for us. We're right about here. That's where the activity should pop on Wednesday. And so we'll certainly be watching it to see how far south it gets. So for tomorrow, looking about 88 with a little afternoon sun, a little bit. A lot of cloud cover and some afternoon sun, up to 92 in Cuero. And let's face it, we just got to get used to it. We'll have some clouds around here Wednesday, Thursday, but after Friday, we start really warming up into the mid-90s as we get on into the long holiday weekend, which is Memorial Day. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we've got a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone, and we'll toss it over to Karina.
Thank you, Mac. And now here's Zach Brown with your sports.
It's been a decade since we could say the East Titans have been in the regional semis, and the guys now ready for their next series. Hear from them in sports. We haven't been able to say this since 2014, but the Victoria East Titans are in the regional semifinal round. In fact, the last time the Titans made it this far, they ended up all the way in the state championship game. The Titans started off hot this year and had their eyes on a deep postseason run all year long, and are coming off a series in which they grinded out a 1-0 win and a great performance from Gage Goldman. Then in game 2, they had a 9-4 win. The Titans have shown they can win in a variety of ways, and that should bode well for them in this next series against Leander Rouse, and hopefully as they continue to go deeper into the postseason.
I think it puts a lot of confidence in each other, and we know that anyone's going to step up on any given day, and we have what it takes to be a full team and go a long ways. What even feels better is that our guys are still confident, and we have the want to keep going further and further, and we're going to go as long as we want to. Pressure is going to come along with going further and stuff, but our guys have stay grounded, and we know what it takes to get where we want to be, and we're keep grinding every day.
Their first game will be Thursday night at Northside ISD Sports Park in San Antonio. Games 2 and 3 will be Friday beginning at 5 p.m. The game 3 is an if necessary. Here is the final out from the Hallettsville Lady Brahma series against Santa Gertrudis. This win probably felt sweeter since this is who halted their state title run last year, and now Hallettsville gets ready for a favorable matchup. They will get the Columbus Cardinals, a team that they dominated in the regular season, run ruling them each time, and game 1 will be where they run ruled Columbus last time, and that is in Hallettsville. First pitch set for 6 p.m. Wednesday night. Out in the Major League circuit, the Houston Astros welcoming AL West foe, the Los Angeles Angels, to town, and they were tied at 1. An Altuve 3-run jack gives Houston a 4-1 lead, and Mauricio Dubon later in the game is going to send one to the Crawford boxes as well, and it's now 6-1. And while it looked like Houston would cruise to yet another win in the 5th inning, a 3-run homer for the Angels, and suddenly that lead is just 6-4, and in the same inning, Los Angeles gets yet another 3-run homer. They would score 7 runs in the inning. The Astros blow a huge lead and lose by a final score of 9-7. And at Houston Texans OTAs today, wide receiver Tank Dell, who was recovering from a broken leg last season and being shot just a few weeks back, was a full go today in Houston. And for the Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons did not attend day 1 of OTAs. That is it for your sports. Donna Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Zach. We're back in a moment. The newest invention from Japan, an electric spoon, and it could help you cut down on sodium.
Finally tonight, a new electric spoon is introduced in Japan. The product was developed so that people who are trying to reduce their sodium intake can still enjoy eating low sodium foods in their diet. Now, the spoon works by using a weak current to control sodium ions that react with taste buds and allow people to taste saltiness. It is being sold for about $120 in limited quantities at the Kirin online store. Kirin says that new products such as bowls will also be developed. Now, I understand wanting to really control sodium, because sodium, too much of that can lead to strokes.
So many health problems.
And there's so much sodium in processed foods anyway, so why not the electric spoon?
You get salty food, or no, you get food with no salt, and then you taste salt when you eat it. Is that
Exactly.
Exactly.
Oh,
And there's
crazy.
no health effects to the ions on your tongue.
No.
Oh yeah, you just glow in the dark. That's all.
And it doesn't affect a spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down.
Okay, now,
Yeah, that's
what
right.
about a spoonful of sugar?
There you
Have they
go.
invented that one yet?
That one's
Yes.
next.
Coming next. Well, folks, we got to get ready for the heat because it's going to be on with us for quite some time. We certainly are looking at upper mid-90s rather as we get all the way into the weekend. Of course, it's Memorial Day weekend. I want you to have a great time, but I also want you to watch out for the heat, especially for the little kids. When their cheeks are all red, that means they're playing too hard and they need to cool down.
There you go. Thank you, Mac. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you tonight at 10.